The rain stopped. The relentless hammering against the timber roof vanished, replaced by a silence so heavy it felt like pressure. Noah stood on the deck, his feet braced against the salt-stained plank. He did not move for a long count, listening for the return of the wind, but there was only stillness. He reached for the heavy iron latch of the main gate. The metal was cold and slick with moisture. He gripped it, his knuckles turning white as he leaned his full weight into the wood. The gate groaned, the hinges protesting with a high, sharp shriek that echoed across the empty vessel. He shoved harder. The barrier gave way, swinging outward with a sudden, jarring momentum. A gust of air hit him instantly. It was cool, damp, and thick with the scent of saturated earth and crushed vegetation. Noah breathed in, his lungs expanding. He stepped to the threshold, his hand gripping the frame, and looked out into the gray, misty expanse. The long confinement was over. Noah looked upward, his head tilted back, his chest heaving with every ragged breath. Above the ark, the bruised, heavy clouds that had defined his world for 40 days began to fray at the edges. They did not simply vanish. They tore apart in slow, deliberate strips, pushed by a wind that had suddenly found its purpose. He watched as a jagged, dark mass split open, revealing a sliver of impossible, piercing blue. The light spilled through like water from a broken dam, hitting the jagged, rising peaks of Mount Ararat in the distance. Then, the colors ignited. A vibrant, arched ribbon of light cut through the retreating gray, stretching from one horizon to the other. Noah gripped the railing, his knuckles straining as he tracked the arc of the rainbow. It was a bridge of color spanning the entire visible world. The promise was written in the light, etched into the atmosphere itself, marking the end of the deluge. Noah turned from the railing and signaled toward the dark interior of the vessel. The heavy, rhythmic thud of hooves and paws began to vibrate through the wooden floorboards. A pair of lions emerged first, their heads low, eyes scanning the sudden brightness of the day. They reached the top of the ramp and stopped dead. The wood ended, and the soft, mud-slicked earth began. They did not move forward. Instead, they stretched their necks, nostrils flaring as they pulled in the scent of the wet, reclaimed world. Every muscle in their frames remained coiled, testing the stability of the ground beneath them. Behind them, the giraffes followed, their long necks swaying in a cautious, rhythmic arc. As they surveyed the vast expanse of the valley, they stopped just inches from the lions, their hooves clicking against the damp timber. The air hung thick with the smell of silt and dormant life. Neither creature took the final step. They stood at the precipice, caught between the safety of the ancient hull and the vast, unmapped reality waiting below. The silence of the forest floor seemed to press back against them, an invisible wall of resistance. They sniffed the air again, a sharp, collective intake of breath, waiting for the signal that the world was truly ready to receive them. The tension of the unknown hung in the space between the ramp and the soil, a fragile moment of hesitation. The lead lion shifted his weight, dug his claws into the mud, and lunged forward. The hesitation shattered. It hit the soft ground with a heavy thud, followed immediately by its mate. They did not look back. They broke into a steady, powerful trot, their bodies cutting through the thick, damp air toward the emerald green valley. The giraffes followed, their long legs navigating the uneven terrain with surprising grace as they surged ahead. Then, the ark itself seemed to exhale. A thunderous sound erupted from the upper rafters as hundreds of doves took flight at once. They spiraled upward, a dense, swirling cloud of white wings beating against the golden light of the breaking sun. Below, the animals scattered in every direction, their movements carving new paths into the fertile, waiting soil. The ark, once a vessel of survival, stood empty and silent, its purpose fulfilled as the creatures reclaimed the vast, reclaimed world. Noah stepped off the final plank, his feet sinking slightly into the fertile, damp soil. He moved away from the timber skeleton of the ark, which now loomed behind him like a hollowed, silent monument. He stopped, lowered his weight, and pressed his palms into the cool, damp grass. The earth felt solid, yielding, and alive. He stood again, shielding his eyes from the intense, warm sunlight that flooded the landscape. The roar of the receding ocean had vanished, replaced by the soft, rhythmic rustle of wind through budding trees. He turned back once, looking at the empty deck, then set his gaze forward. The horizon stretched out, clear and wide. The air was thin, sweet, and carried the scent of rain-washed stone and new growth. He took a step, then another, moving deeper into the expanse of the valley. Ahead, the world opened, vast and reclaimed, beginning again.